Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to latest edition of Laces Out. Jared Bailey, Kurt Homiser with you on the Believe Podcast Network, or wherever you get your podcast from. Joined by, Matt, we haven't seen you in like 2 months on this show. You've got the most Trivia Bowl championships in the history of this show. It's good to see you again, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. You didn't see me because I was on vacation.
Yeah, you were on vacation all of summer. You kept posting pictures. You were a world traveler. I was a jealous man.
I save all my vacation every year for the summer.
That's smart.
And,
good way to go.
So I've got to get away because during the season I don't really have any days off. So but now I'm back and I will be here without break until about May 1st.
Don't we love it? It's football season. It is football season. Week 2 is behind us now, and
right.
It was a fun week. A bunch of good games, Matt. We'll kick it off here with your team, the Kansas City Chiefs. Something that we don't really see very often. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs not coming away in September in the first month of the year. And something we really don't see is Lamar Jackson and the Ravens taking down the Chiefs. So, I know you've done a bunch of shows, and I'm sure you're probably sick of talking about this game, but give us a quick little synopsis of your breakdown.
No, I mean, really, I think, look, you have to give credit to Baltimore. They came back. They were down double digits in the fourth quarter, and they found a way to win. But I think if you're Kansas City, I mean, the main concern is your defense stinks. But you're also like 2 weeks into the year, and they have a ton of talent. So you kind of figure at some point they'll just figure it out. I don't know. To me, look, the game obviously comes down to the fumble at the end with Allaire, but I blame him from the standpoint that he had one hand on the ball in a situation where you need to have two hands on it, but they couldn't get a stop the whole game. And Mahomes also threw a brutal pick. If you play good teams and you turn the ball over twice in the fourth quarter, you're probably going to lose. So, I don't know. I don't think it really changes my opinion on either team long term. I think Baltimore's a good team. They're a top 4 team in the conference. I felt that way going in. I still feel that way. I think they're going to win their 12 games or so. Kansas City, I still believe, is the best team in the AFC, if not the NFL. They're probably going to win 13, 14 games. It's the hardest road game they're going to play all year long. Then now they go home, they play the Chargers, which is a big game for them. This is the first, to me, big game of the year for them. They have to win this game. And it's not going to be easy. I think it's going to be a shootout. I really do. I think you're going to see about 70 points between these two teams.
And the thing that I took away most from it is that, yes, Lamar Jackson in the run game played extremely well. But regardless of how many rushing yards they put up, like you said, if Edwards-Helaire holds onto the ball, Baltimore still probably loses. For me, it just felt like Kansas City beat themselves more than Baltimore won.
Yeah, I mean, Baltimore did a great job running the football, which was helped out by the fact that Kansas City might as well have just grabbed their hands and just skipped to the end zone. I mean, that was basically the level of resistance they put up. There was a sequence in the game, I think it was the early portion of the second quarter, where Alex Okafor, just on 3 separate plays in a row, was supposed to hold an edge, and 3 times in a row just went screaming down the line of scrimmage. I mean, that basically summed up everything that they did throughout that game. But I think, look, in the end, yeah, I mean, the Chiefs did beat themselves. They had the ball up 11 points at the 50 in the fourth quarter. They don't get a first down, and Mahomes throws a pick. Then they get the ball back. They don't move the ball. They punt it away. Again, I pin it on the defense on more than anything. The offense, you scored 35 points. I get there was a pick 6 in there. Fine. You have 35 points. And I've seen Chief fans say, well, if the offense had just finished the game, it's like, well, yeah, but if the defense hadn't given up 36 points, we wouldn't have had to finish the game. If you score 35 points, you should never lose a football game ever. And Mahomes' his career scored 35 points 18 times. They've lost 3 of those games because they just cannot get off the field. And look, I don't think long term, I do believe they'll be fine. But yeah, it's a game where Patriots. So, we'll see. They may see him in January.
And, whenever we talk about the Chiefs and, if they ever have a close game, we always say, if you're playing the Chiefs, you don't want to go down by 2 scores. You don't want to go down by anything, really, because Patrick Mahomes is relentless, and he'll always, most of the time, come back. So you got to give props to the Ravens. I mean, they played a great game, and their secondary, their team is just beat up. I mean, they lose almost all the running backs. They lose Marcus Peters. Deshaun Elliott goes down in that game as well. You question really how they did it, how they can control Tyreek Hill, how they can control Travis Kelce and Mecole Hardman and all the talent that they have on that team. And they did a great job. Matt, I think you kind of stressed on it was the defense's fault. And I agree. They were kind of just getting bullied in the trenches. And you're not going to win many games like that. But props to the Ravens. After a rough week 1 game against the Raiders, they bounced back and beat arguably the best team in the league. So I still don't know if I have a ton of faith, and I feel like I'm wrong for that. I don't know if I have a ton of faith in the Ravens going forward. It just seems like they could be one of those teams that's very inconsistent throughout the year. But maybe they prove me wrong. But I absolutely love the gutsy move with Harbaugh screaming to Lamar, "Do you want to go for it?" I think that was just awesome. Putting faith in his quarterback, and he did it, and they did it, and it was good to see. I'm not rooting against the Chiefs, but it is good to see that Patrick Mahomes is human and he doesn't come back from absolutely everything.
Look, if you're not a Chiefs fan, you hate them, right? I mean, who the hell doesn't, right? Of course you do, and you should. I mean, I always laugh like when Chiefs fans will be like, I don't know, everybody just hates them. I do because they win all the time. I absolutely do. I get it. I hate. From a fan standpoint, I hated the Patriots for 20 years. Yeah. I mean, they won all the time. You get tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
So. Look, give Baltimore the credit they deserve, and you mentioned them earlier. Harbaugh's a great coach, and that team is a lot of pride. We talked to Alex Smith for the Arrowhead Addict podcast a couple of days ago, and he mentioned when we were having a conversation, he said, look, that is about the biggest week 2 game you're ever going to see for a team like the Ravens. Like, they had to win that game. They absolutely had to win the game. And I think there's some of that, too. Like, they played now obviously they had the pick in the beginning of the game, but really after that played about as well as they could possibly play. I mean, everything they could do, they did. And that's to take nothing away from them. That's actually to compliment them. I mean, they had their backs against the wall and played flawless football down the stretch of that game. Kansas City didn't. And I think usually the opposite's true with the Chiefs, where even though they're always not great defensively, they usually find a way to make a play. They did it against Cleveland. Like, it's kind of what they do. They're opportunistic, and offensively, they always do it. Like, I think that was the more surprising thing in the game was when Allaire fumbled the ball, there wasn't like an anger. It was just like, wow, they really aren't going to score. Like, it was just shocking. Like, when the Chiefs got the ball back down a point, I was like, oh, this game's over.
Yep.
They're just going to drive right down the field and win the game. Like, at no point did even an ounce of me think they're not going to win the game.
Yeah.
Every fiber of my being was like, oh, they're going to kick a 40-yard field goal. The game's over. And I think they would have. But
and I think if Baltimore would have punted the ball away, I think Chiefs still would have won. Baltimore,
no doubt. Like that is the one thing about that. And don't get me wrong, it's a cool moment, right? Like, but there's this like almost this mentality that like, oh, it was such a tough call. No, it wasn't. If they put the ball away, Kansas City screamed down the field in like 30 seconds and winning the game. So if you're a Harbaugh, that's the game. That play is the game. Like, and it's 4th and about 1.5 yards. You've been rushing for 7 yards a clip. The thing that shocked me in that play was Kansas City was like playing them somewhat honestly. They should have had 11 guys at the line of scrimmage. I mean, if you want to throw the ball, you win. Then you win. You beat us. But no, hey, listen. The Ravens are going to be right there with Cleveland in the AFC North. Jared, I'm sorry, I'm not throwing Pittsburgh in that conversation. They're going to be right there. And look, Baltimore is the kind of team. I do think there's a cap on to some extent because in the end, I do not believe they can throw the football. And they didn't really throw the ball against Kansas City. They barely threw for 200 yards in the game. I do think there's a cap on them, but they're a team you don't want to play in January because they're just so damn unique. And Jackson is such a pain in the ass to defend. They can beat anybody because of it.
Yeah.
All right, let's skip the pleasantries. You mentioned the Raiders. We mentioned the Steelers. Look, it just seems that the Raiders have the Steelers' number. Ben is now 2-6 against Oakland/Vegas in his career.
Yep.
And from a fan standpoint, 2020 and 2021, offensively speaking, aside from Matt Canada being liberal about using pre-snap motion, the offense looks identical. There's no innovation here. They do not attack the middle of the field, and it showed. So the Steelers are now 1-1. Matt, I know that you were just waiting to tell me how bad Ben Roethlisberger is, so I will let you do that.
Yeah, he's terrible. I mean, I don't know what else. Look, I say that, and I'll get like these Steelers fans who come into the mentions and just go berserk. I'm not saying he's been terrible his whole career. Like the guy walks into the Hall of Fame when he's done, but yeah, he's terrible at this point. Look, I have argued for a year and a half, and Jared, I finally saw you come and realize the light and concede on Twitter the other day. And you're like, I'm finally coming around to the idea that they don't throw deep down the middle because you can't throw deep down the middle. And I'm thinking to myself, like, no offense, man, but like, no shit. Like, yeah, no kidding. You think any coordinator in the world would be like, we're not going to use between the numbers? He can't do it. Like, any team playing them who plays anybody down the middle of the field deep should be arrested. Like, you're not going to do it. If you're the Steelers, I get the whole Najee Harris thing. I thought that was a big mistake. They should have drafted a lineman, man. That team needs to block in the worst way. Najee Harris is great unless he's behind a line that can't block at all. Like, it doesn't matter. Roethlisberger is the biggest statue in the league. You need to be able to protect him. Now, I think Pittsburgh's going to be in the playoff mix because they're great defensively. And just like Baltimore, they're really well coached. They are going to not beat themselves. There'll be a handful of like this week they're -3 against Cincinnati. They're not losing that game. I would be stunned if they lost this game. So I still think they're a good team, but you have to just scheme around the fact that Roethlisberger can't play. And I don't know. You can do that against Cincinnati. But, like, for example, we're talking about our teams. Like, they go to Arrowhead the day after Christmas.
They do.
I mean, if you're Kansas City, put 10 guys at the line of scrimmage. He's not throwing the ball. Like, it's going to be 10 degrees and windy at Arrowhead. Like, go ahead. Chuck it.
Yeah.
Go deep down. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a team like that, that's where I think the problem comes in. Because now it's like, well, he's going to have to throw the football. And throwing for 5 yards of clips, not getting it done. So, I still think they're good. I still think they'll be in the mix for a spot because, frankly, I think the AFC is really top-heavy. I don't think the AFC has a ton of, like, great middle-tier teams. So I think they'll be in the mix, but I don't think they're as good as Baltimore.
And
Kurt, 1 second before we continue, okay. we do have a Thor Nystrom sighting in the chat because he wanted to say hi to Matt. Apparently, if it shows on the screen, I've clicked it twice now.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the only thing that this show is missing is trivia questions and Verderom's worst nightmare.
I sense that Thor might be angry that we didn't invite him on the show. Thor, I'm sorry.
I think
I'm not. So I learned how to tell time. The last time we tried to do a damn trivia poll, you never showed up.
Trivia Bowl's not even going on, and the trash talk is still carrying on.
Great.
Weeks away. And
learn how to tell time.
I love it. That's all right. Thor, next time we'll get you on. But I want to continue to rag on Jared Steelers here because
thank you.
I don't want to sound like a sore loser because I'm just analyzing this from a football stance. And we just talked about that the Chiefs the Chiefs lost. I don't know if the Ravens really won. The Chiefs beat themselves. The Bills beat themselves week 1. I don't think the Steelers really look great. Their defense is good. Defense is very good. They ate the Bills' offensive line alive. But I just don't see it on offense. And Matt, like you just mentioned, they're going to face some tough teams, and they're going to have to score 30 points, 30-plus points a game. I don't know if Ben Roethlisberger can do that. I don't think he can. And their defense is going to be very good all year, but I just don't see it. And props to the Raiders. They are probably the surprise of the season so far. Jarrett and I are on the wrong side of Raiders Twitter because we just had no faith in them. But props to them. Their defense is making plays when they have to. Derek Carr is playing extremely well this year. And John Gruden isn't really messing up too much yet. They have Miami this week, who is starting Jacoby Brissett, so that should be another win for them. And they should start 3-0. But what's that?
Which might be an upgrade at this point.
Yeah,
we can get into that as well if we want to.
You could really argue that they actually are getting a better quarterback in this game.
I'll say when Tua went down against the Bills and I was watching the game, I wasn't like, okay, they got the backup coming in. This should be a blowout. I was, okay, this is Jacoby Brissett. He's got some talent. He's pretty.
Brissett's arguably the best backup in the NFL. I think that's a fair
come on.
statement.
What about Money Mitch?
That's aggressive. But
Mitch Trubisky, come on.
Okay,
I said arguably.
Oh my God.
Okay, but anyway, I feel like Jacoby Brissett to Tua is more of just a lateral move. I don't think they're getting worse. I don't think that they're really getting much better. It's just a lateral to me. I don't really see a big drop off.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Dolphins don't have a quarterback, so which isn't great when you just took one 5th overall. But I think that's where they are. I mean, it's funny, the AFC East, really, all these young quarterbacks. And Zach Wilson has been a struggle. And Mac Jones, a deep ball for him is like 8 feet. So, it's been, I got to say, though, Kurt, to be fair, Josh Allen basically looks like Ben Roethlisberger at this point.
I'm not going to disagree. It has not been the prettiest start to the season.
Somehow,
not had
worse than Roethlisberger this year, which is appalling. I don't know how that's even possible.
Do you just try to think of ways to crap on Ben Roethlisberger throughout the day? So like you do.
No, I mean, but really, like I watch every snap of each Bills game.
Mm-hmm.
He has been atrocious. Like, I don't know whether or not like this is just it's a couple bad games, or if last year is just like the absolute outlier of all outlier. I don't think it is. To be fair, I still think he'll be fine. But it's been like borderline horrific.
It has, and I'm not going to argue it. I'll give my quick take on the whole Josh Allen thing, and I think we've talked about it when you've been on the show. We've been talking about it since he came into the league. He's one of those players where it's going to be the oh my God, what are you doing? And the oh my God, what are you doing? This is amazing. He's going to have the absolute highs and he's going to have the really lows, but it's just going to be him kind of getting towards being more consistent. And I think he'll get there. I really do. Just with the amount of talent that they have on that team. There's a lot of questions with Brian Dable, the offensive coordinator, so far this year, and some very questionable calls. But we saw them be inconsistent last year. We saw them beat the Chiefs off field goals. Not the Chiefs, the Jets. We saw them beat the Jets off. We saw them beat the Jets off field goals last year. So, and then we see them hang 45 points on the Seattle Seahawks. So it's really highs and it's got its real lows, but I have faith that they'll figure it out.
He better, because he's the engine of the team. I think. Look, I agree. I think he will figure it out. Yeah, I don't know. The AFC's interesting. I mean, every team right now that's a top tier contender, in my opinion, they're all 1-1, and the Raiders have been impressive. And I wrote about how great Carr has been so far. I also believe in the boomerang theory, which says like, look, so if you're a baseball player and your whole life you've hit 260, and then you come out in April and you hit 340, at some point you're gonna have a month where you hit 180. Like it's just coming. It just is, right? Like it, I feel like with Carr, he's been underrated throughout his career. He's a good quarterback. He's on a pace to throw for like 6,000 yards. That's not happening. Like Carr is not going to be the MVP in the league. The Raiders are going to somewhat come down to the talent level that they have. Now, they've beaten Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Give them a lot of credit. The Baltimore game was a circus, but they won both games. I think they're more real than Denver, who has beaten the Giants and the Jags. And I'm sorry, I just can't get into this. Like they're going to beat the Jets this weekend, and they're going to be 3-0, and people are going to go nuts, and then they're going to be like 4-4. It just it's fine. I get another.
You don't have faith in that Denver defense. Denver's kind of my baby this year. I'm pretty high on Denver. I like the
12-5 or something.
What's that?
Didn't you pick them to go like 12-5 or something?
I did.
Like that?
He did. I had that as their
absolutely.
absolute ceiling. Yes. But I really don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities with that defense and the talent that they have. Jerry Jeudy goes down, but if their quarterback play is at least serviceable, their defense will win them games, and they don't have a tough schedule.
I feel like they're going to lose. I picked them. I think they go 9-8, so I don't think they're terrible. I just think they're kind of a team. Like they're just there. Like I don't think they're beating Kansas City if Kansas City's either one of those games. I don't think they're beating Cleveland on a Thursday night in Cleveland. I don't think they're beating the Ravens. I don't think they're winning in Pittsburgh. So that's 5 right there. And then I think they'll split with the Chargers. They'll split with the Broncos. They'll lose some ridiculous game because every team does. They'll lose some game they shouldn't lose. I have like 9-8. I don't think they're bad, but I just kind of whenever you don't have a coach quarterback combination that really like worries me.
Mm-hmm.
Can't get into it. I just like nobody is like, oh my God, here comes Vic Fangio and Teddy Bridgewater. Like. Which, by the way, is the same thing with the Raiders. It's like, all right, Carr's good, Gruden, and then you look at that defense. You're like, I'm sorry, is Max Crosby going to play like Bruce Smith all year long? You know what I mean? Like, I just look at some point that thing's coming to roost. It just is. People overreact way too much off 2 games of football. They just, the Packers get beat 38-3, and people just immediately jump to, well, that's it. They're terrible. No, they're not. They're not. They're fine. And so. I still feel everything that I felt before the season. I still feel now, with the little bit of an exception. I think the Raiders are better than the 6 wins I projected them for.
Well, they're halfway to the 4 wins I projected, and the fans are letting us hear it. Before we let you go, we talked about Kurt's baby of the season. I want to talk about my baby of the season because you know what? For about a year and a half, I've been riding the Sam Darnold train. I've been conducting the Sam Darnold train, actually. And there's been, I think I'm the only one on the train. So he's playing well. Carolina's 2-0. Defensively, through 2 games, albeit they're the best defensive team in football. They got Houston on Thursday, who's starting Davis Mills. So they should be 3-0. What do you make of Carolina right now?
Boys and girls. Bet on Carolina. No, listen, I think I picked Carolina to make the playoffs as a wild card team. So I'm with you. I think Carolina is good. The defense looks really good. Now, again, the whole 2-week sample size thing. Okay.
Yeah.
They basically played Vanderbilt week 1. And then played bad Jameis week 2. Okay. Jameis throwing the ball out of his left hand to get picked off, Jameis.
Was that not the most Jameis Winston play in the history of Jameis Winston?
That was incredible.
He's terrible. Excuse the language. These fucking people who after week 1 are like, is he an MVP candidate? It's like, what is happening? Like, who believes this shit? Does anyone in the world actually believe this? Like, he threw 5 touchdowns. The man threw for 100 yards. What are we talking about? This is the kind of stuff that is like someone who like takes this really seriously. It drives me insane. It'll never stop driving me insane. Well, Carolina's going to get to 3-0. The plus side for Carolina's schedule is not that hard. They get Atlanta twice. That's 2 more wins because that team is a train wreck. Okay. The Panthers, I don't think are beating Tampa either time. Maybe they could beat New Orleans again. It's possible. Wouldn't rule it out. And then I believe, I know they play the AFC East, which look, I don't think they're beating Buffalo. They could certainly beat either one of the other 2 teams that they haven't played yet. I want to say they play the NFC East.
I'm pulling up the schedule as we speak. All right, I will run through it real quick.
I looked at this the other day.
So yes, they play the NFC East. So they have Dallas, Philadelphia, Minnesota coming up. Then they have
Minnesota
the Giants.
Is also a train wreck.
They have the Giants, Atlanta, New England, Arizona, Washington, Miami, and then a bye. So
it's a whole lot of games you can win.
The only 2 games that I think I heard that I would probably bet against them is Arizona, maybe Washington just because of their defense, but Carolina's offense is a lot better.
But even those games, like, would it shock you if they beat Arizona or Washington? Like,
no.
Where is the Arizona game?
The Arizona game is in Arizona.
Okay, so I'd agree. It probably lose. But my point is, look, can they get to 10 wins with that schedule? Probably, right? Like, and if you look at the NFC, if they do that, I get the West is incredible, right? But you're going to get 1 team out of the North and 1 team out of the East, I think. You got Tampa. I mean, you're probably not getting all 4 teams out of the West. And if that's the case, Carolina's got a great shot.
Side note here, too, to remember, they played Tampa Bay week 18. Tampa Bay might be resting some starters that week.
Yeah.
Last week of the season, maybe they just want to ride it into the playoffs. Carolina might go into Tampa and just win that game if Tom Brady's not playing.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. By the way, I enjoyed this headline. Pro Football Talk tweets out, Vic Fangio saying, quote, Urban Meyer told me every week in the NFL is like playing Alabama. Yeah, Urban, welcome to the NFL.
What?
I mean, no kidding. By the way, I am not much for a gambling man, especially considering I cover the league, but there was a line before the season started. I just like looking at the win totals and just in my head, over, under, I always think they're usually pretty good. I mean, Vegas, what the hell? They make the money. There's a reason. their line of Jacksonville over under was 6.5. I was
That's
just floored by that.
absurd.
Who in God's name bet the over? Whoever bet the
Yeah.
over to lose their house and their family.
And I'm sure there will probably be somebody that actually will.
Who picked them to win 7 games? Oh my
Everybody
God.
who's obsessed with, Trevor Lawrence getting there and all the, the DJ Shark stands on Twitter probably would be my best guess.
7 games.
Yeah.
Well, they also, we got to remember they play, Houston twice a year
Yeah.
without at least going into the year. I know, I get it. I didn't pick them to win 7 games, Matt. I think
7
in terms of Vegas's standpoint, I think they saw, okay, Houston twice a year, that should be 2 wins. Obviously, we know that's not the case now. And so I can understand it maybe a little bit, but obviously hindsight being 2020, yes, they're going to be brutal. There's
no
fine.
hindsight needed. When Urban Meyer had the offseason he had with Tebow, and then bringing on the strength coach who had to resign less than 24 hours later, and then he gets fined for OTA violations because he doesn't understand what the rules are. Listen, like I said, I'm not a big gambler. If there ever was a time to bet the mortgage, it was under on 6.5. There was no. They play the NFC West.
Yeah.
They had no chance.
What was your prediction for them? Because I think I have them winning 5 games.
I think 4,
I think five's an okay number. I don't.
I think 4 and 13.
17 game season.
If you bet the over, you were chugging Maylocks. What, about a quarter and a half into the season?
Oh yeah.
When you saw Houston up 24-7 at half, you're like, yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
You went outside and just started playing taps or whatever the money was that you bet. Right, so. It is what it is, but yeah, my God, man, I don't know what that line is now. If that line is any more than 3.5, just hammer the under. Hammer.
I did like, and I'm not going to give away too much of your piece, but how your power rankings piece that you do each week, 32 and 31 made me laugh very, very hard, and I hope that you know that because it was very funny.
I hate to admit this, and I say this genuinely, I don't even remember what I wrote.
Wow.
Can I say what you wrote?
Sure.
Okay, so you started off with the Jets, and you said it's going to be a long, painful year for Zach Wilson. Then he went to the Jaguars, said it's going to be a long, painful year for Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Listen, I write a lot during the season, so I write from the heart. I don't really I don't try to be witty. I just write whatever I'm thinking, and so I'm sure as I did that, I wrote the Jets thing, and then just got to Jacksonville, and it was like
it's the same situation.
Like copy and paste all the work here.
Yep, exactly.
Swap the name out. So
that made it worth the read by itself, so I was very happy with it.
Thank you. And by the way, quarterback rankings, I still got Josh Allen top 10, but he throws another clunker this week. So he's dropping out of the top 10.
This is the week to do it. Washington's got a great defense. And like I said, I have confidence. I have a lot of Bills fans in my mentions that are absolutely losing their mind after 2 weeks in the season. You should have seen it after the week 1 loss to Pittsburgh, but
that was funny.
That's sports Twitter for you, and we got to love it.
It is.
Listen, believe me.
Go ahead.
I have how many followers now? 13 something.
Too many to count.
The reason I bring it up is because I can't tell you how many people have flooded my mentions and been like, I think we're not going to make the playoffs this year. I'm like, are you kidding? You don't think the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs this year? I had one guy who vehemently argued with me that the Raiders are better than the Chiefs. He's a Chief fan. He's like, They're better than us. They're better. There's no way. I'm like, are you kidding? Oh my God.
Wow.
They lost 1 game by a point on the road to Baltimore, and they lost the game because he fumbled, and they couldn't have been any worse. And they lost by a point.
You know, as a Bills fan and being on the Bills Mafia side of Twitter, whenever things go wrong, I always kind of think, I wonder what it's like on Chiefs Twitter. It's probably so nice. Everybody's so happy they got the best player in the league, but clearly it's not.
I mean, back-to-back Super Bowls. Right? You guys, it's different because your favorite sport is the Chiefs. So you know you're always like, oh God, we're frauds. This is how this ends. And it's like, no, they're probably going to win like 14 games this year. But people go out of it. I can't tell how many people have either DM'd me or just gotten my mentions and been like, I think we're going to win 7 games this season.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
They could not field the defense and win 13 games. What? But it's just it's just panic.
Gotta
Well,
love it.
to quote you, they've got Jesus Christ in cleats, so I think they're gonna be just fine.
As long as he's upright. Every year of his career, they're going to win 12 games.
Yep.
Like, it's like Manning with the Colts all those years.
Yeah.
They couldn't stop anybody. Didn't matter. I mean, it mattered in the playoffs, which is, by the way, where it will matter for Kansas City if they don't get this right. But until then, I'm sure it's going to really hold them back against Philly. I'm sure that's going to be the thing that kills them. Oh, God, how are we going to defend Jalen Reagor this week, right? Like, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter against Cleveland. Cleveland's one of the top 6 team in the league, top 8 team, made no difference. None. They didn't even try to defend Cleveland, and it was like, that's fine. So it's a long season. It's a long season.
Yes,
it is. And we're fortunate to spend it talking to you, buddy. So before you get back to doing the work that you've got to do, where can they find your stuff?
Oh, hell, I don't know. No, fan side. By the way, as you were saying that, I look at my Twitter feed, and the first play that pops up is the NFL tweeting out Edwards-Helaire fumbling the ball. So, no, you can find it at FanSided. Stack in the Box column goes up every Monday morning, and then you got the quarterback rankings, the power rankings that go up on Tuesday. I'm proud of those quarterback rankings. A, I put in way too much time, and B, they're really pretty. Got them in the long form format. They're a lot of fun. It's an easy read, it's a quick read, and then Thursday, I make my picks. Started out awful. I was 6-10 week 1, but I bounced back. I was 12-4 last week, and I was like 12-0 at one point, or no, I was 11-1, and then things went sideways with the Seahawks and the Chiefs. Yeah. So those are the written pieces. Got the Stack in the Box podcast every Tuesday, and then God knows, listen, I'm on Twitter all the time. So
Can I just also say I love all the editing notes that you text me after I write something and how much it makes me laugh.
You know, it would be great if I didn't have to send that text message. How about learning how to structure a sentence?
Ouch. You can't get away from him.
Jared is a good right. It's although I did want to murder him about a week ago. Is on deadline. He hands me this thing. Hey, here's 5 ways how the Pats are going to beat the Saints.
Yes.
That's right, man. Except they're playing the Jets this week.
He did tell me that. That was hilarious.
I wanted to come through the computer screen when I read that. I'm like, what?
I was driving and I get a text. Hey, bro, the Patriots don't play the Saints this week. I'm like, are you sure?
Are you sure, man?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
All right, well, I'll fix it. But regardless, Matt, we appreciate everything that you do for us and have done for us, and we always love talking to you. So we appreciate you. We'll have you on again soon because we love talking to you.
No problem, guys. Anytime.
Thanks, right, Matt. See you later.
He did send me that text. No, he
incredible.
does. It's great.
That's the best part of it.
I like to think that you don't roast people you don't care about. So
that's true. That's a good point. That's a good way to think about it, my friend. But yeah, no, he's always got the great insight. We appreciate him giving us some time throughout his busy schedule. But we still got some things to talk about here because there were a lot of injuries this past week.
Oh my God!
Nothing good that you want to see. You never want to see an injury happen. We already talked about Tua going down, a fractured rib. Don't really know how long he's going to be out for. The timetable is still kind of up in the air, but I feel like that's going to be something that lingers around for a little while. Just seems like one of those injuries where, every little hit he's going to be feeling it. Every time he breathes, he's going to be feeling it. So that's not good news for the Dolphins. But again, we kind of talked about it. Maybe Jacoby Brissett is an upgrade. But besides Tua, who else did we have? We had Andy Dalton going down, and just today, Bears fans are doing the happy dance. Justin Fields is their starting quarterback going forward.
Oh, is that official?
It's official, yes. They announced it.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so Justin Fields is – wow, I'm breaking news for you, too. I like it.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that.
Justin Fields is the starting quarterback, and that's big. That's big because I like Justin Fields a lot. Can I say
this, though? In terms of when they should have started him, if Dalton was healthy this week, they play Cleveland this week, Kurt. He's going to have Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett coming after him because that offensive line can't guard me. So,
but hey, the week after they play the Lions, so that's okay.
Yes, that's when I would have started him as week 4. Let Andy Dalton get murdered for 3 weeks.
Maybe they should have put in old Saint Nick Foles in this week just to get brutally massacred by the Browns. But I've been high on Justin Fields since this draft process. I really like him. He adds a whole different aspect to the game that you don't get in Andy Dalton. He's got a big arm. He's got great legs. We've seen it. We've seen him put the moves on already, and it's fun to watch. And I'm sure Allen Robinson is very happy that maybe he's finally got his quarterback here. So, the Bears aren't in a position where they need to make a run for the playoffs. They just are in a position where they need to see progress. They need to see what they got in Justin Fields, and hopefully that's something good. I like Justin Fields a lot. I don't really know how you're feeling on Justin Fields. I know you weren't super high on him during the draft process.
It's not necessarily that I was low on him. It's just that I like, the first three guys better. Now, in terms of, you hit it on the head. The Bears aren't a Super Bowl team right now. They just need to figure out what they've got. And yes, there's going to be struggles. There were struggles this past Sunday. You threw a boneheaded interception, and it led to a Bengals touchdown, which got them within 3. Like, you can't do that. Right. But yes, he does bring more to the table than Andy Dalton does. And by the way, this is absolutely not a jab at Andy Dalton, because by all accounts, he's one of the nicest, most down-to-earth human beings in the NFL. He's got a damn good beard now.
Oh, yes. Incredible beard.
It's nothing against Andy Dalton. It's just the fact that, right now at this point in his career, I think that he's, a bottom-tier starter, elite-level backup. And, if he's going to be this bridge guy for the remainder of his career, that's what he's going to be. But I think that right now you just got to give the Bears fans something to be excited about rather than marching out Andy Dalton, running it twice, throwing an incompletion, and punting. Like, right now, they need something to get them excited. Again, I wouldn't start him against the Browns because he's going to die, because Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney are going to eat him for an afternoon.
Yeah.
But, they have something to be excited about. And that's more than we've been able to say about Chicago for a long time. So kudos to them for that. I'm excited to see Justin Fields. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I still would have waited till week 4 where, if they're 0-3, you march Justin Fields out there, you murder the Lions, and then he's a hero for a week. And so,
yes.
But no, I'm excited.
Speaking of injuries, we'll keep it going with the unfortunate talk, but Carson Wentz just cannot seem to stay on the field, and it sucks to see because he's got some serious talent when he's healthy, but he just can't stay healthy. And
how the hell do you sprain both ankles, Kurt?
Did you see what happened? Aaron Donald took him down, and 300 pounds of Aaron Donald rolled over the top of him and just crunched his legs underneath it. It was pretty nasty to see. But hoping for the best for him, but
yeah,
I just don't see how the Colts are going to do without him. Jacob Eason in there, we don't really know. Maybe he'll be a decent surprise, but
yeah, he looked good in the preseason.
He did, and he's got a great offensive line in front of him. He's got 2 very good backs behind him. He's got some good weapons on the outside. Sure, and a great defense. It's possible. They play the Titans this week, though. The Titans just had a battle up there in Seattle. I don't know. A healthy Carson Wentz gets them maybe 10 wins, 9 wins. Without Carson Wentz, we'll see. It's a big question mark with Jacob Eason coming in. I don't have a ton of faith, but maybe it'll prove me wrong.
Yeah, look, without Carson Wentz, I don't think they're beating Tennessee, especially a pissed-off Titans team that, they look bad week 1. They come back from 24-9, beat Seattle. Now they've got some momentum against an injured Colts team. Like, that's not a recipe for success.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're staring at 0-3. And if for some reason Wentz does play this week, which I don't think he's gonna.
I don't think they officially announced it yet, but
I would assume that he's not playing.
Yeah.
So, you're going to really be in a hole. Now, the good news for them is that, 0-3, they're only 2 games behind Tennessee, who will be 2-1. It's not impossible, but an 0-3 start. We saw them start 0-5 and then rally and make the playoffs. Like, it's nothing Frank Reich hasn't done before, but it's sure as hell not a spot that you want to be in if you're the Colts right now. So, but they did put up a fight against a really good Rams team at home. It's going to get the job done.
Yeah, and we talked about it during the offseason when the first Carson Wentz injury came about. They have a start of the season from hell. They opened up against Seattle. Then they played the Los Angeles Rams. They played Tennessee next week. After that, they go to Miami. Okay, that's a nice little bounce-back game with Miami. Then they go to Baltimore. I don't think they're going to win that game. They go at home versus Houston. Okay, Houston's not very good, but they've been a pain in the side team. You know, that
if Tyrod Taylor's back by then, Houston could give him fits.
We've seen Houston kind of put up two pretty good fights. They were leading the Browns multiple times throughout the game last Sunday. I don't think that they're going to win many games this year, but they're going to be that team that's just going to be a pain in the neck that's going to score a lot of points, maybe play spoiler towards the end of the year.
Steelers quarterback Tyrod Taylor 2022. I'm on board with it.
Hey, I love Tyrod. I mean, he's just one of those guys he's a good team guy. He can win lots of games. He's a good player. I mean, we saw him with a beautiful deep ball this past week.
Yeah.
And he can use his legs. He's a good player, and I don't think that Houston kind of got forced into this position to start him, and they were fortunate enough to get him in there. So Houston's just gonna have a tough go. There's a lot of questions surrounding that team, but I just I don't see it with the Colts to circle back around here.
Yeah, it's not gonna be easy.
It's unfortunate. It really is, because there were so many high hopes with Carson Wentz coming in, reunited with Frank Reich, and we thought that maybe they could be a possible even Super Bowl team with that defense that they have, but he just can't seem to stay on the field.
Yeah, that is a big fact. So how about this, Kurt? Let's talk about week 3 after a word from our sponsor, Play Action Pools. We got exciting news. Our podcast is partnering with PlayActionPools.com this season to bring some interactive fun to the sport that we love the most. You'll be able to get in on the action with our PlayActionPools.com Football Pick'em Challenge, which is open to everybody. Now, here's how it works. You sign up for our contest, Believe Football Pick'em, at PlayActionPools.com, then get your picks in each week. We're going to select the 10 highest profile games of the week between NFL and college football. Whoever gets the most picks correct each week will win a pair of electric sunglasses and a pair of DC shoes. Again, go to PlayActionPools.com, sign up for the contest, Believe, that's BLEAV, Football Pick'em. And if you plan on hosting your own football contest, go to PlayActionPools.com today. They've got Survivor, Pick'em, as well as a cool sportsbook style concept called Build Your Bankroll. PlayActionPools.com, your new home for all your office sports pools.
Perfect. Yes, we have some fun with that. You'll have some fun with that as well. Join in. You can go against us. You can rub it in our face when you are doing better than us.
Exactly.
Because I did okay on my picks last week. I don't know how you did. I went 4-1. I went 4-1 on my picks last week. So nice little bounce back for me, because I think I went 3-2 the week before. So let's see. I got it right here. I picked the Bills. Shout out the Dolphins. 35-zip, 0 points on the board. Gotta love that for a bounce back week. So yes. I picked the Bills. I picked the Panthers to beat the Saints. That was a little bit of my hot take for the week, but they pulled it off. We talked about the Panthers a little bit earlier. I picked the Titans to beat the Seahawks. Went to overtime. A hard-fought game on both sides. Both teams look like they're doing okay. Look like they'll have a decent season this year. Then I picked the Cowboys to beat the Chargers, and they did that. A low-scoring game, kind of surprising to me, because Dallas's defense I thought was going to be really bad this year. Held the Chargers to 17 points. Won on the last-second field goal. Good for you, Dallas. And then my last pick was the Bengals. They were 4 points away from beating the Bears. So I went 4-1 last week.
I went 3-2. I also picked the Bengals to beat the Bears. I also picked them to cover in 2 parlays, which they missed by half a point, so I wanted to cry. I picked the 49ers over the Eagles, which they should have done more convincingly, but aside, they covered for me. So good job, San Fran. I also picked the Bills. I picked the Chiefs because I thought that was going to be a sure one. And, Odafe Owe just had to go ruin that for me. Although I am wearing a Penn State crew neck, so I love Odafe Owe. Yes, exactly. And then I picked the Rams to beat the Colts, which they did. So I went 3-2. I'm 7-3 on the season.
I'm 7-3 as well, my friend. We are tied for 2 weeks. I like it.
So let's get into a little bit of our picks. My first one, I'm going to take the Patriots over the Saints.
Okay.
Look, week 2, we saw the Jameis Winston I know and love, and that's switching to his left hand while getting sacked and throwing it off his offensive lineman's face. So
it's just so funny, and that is
oh my
Jameis
God,
Winston.
Is that not the most Jameis Winston play in the history of Jameis Winston? I wrote that in my FanSided article this week, which you can go read. It was so funny, wasn't it? I believe in the Patriots defense to handle him. J.C. Jackson's so good.
He really is. And when Stephon Gilmore went down, I had some questions about that secondary, but J.C. Jackson's legit. And that defense, as long as Belichick is in there, that defense is going to be good. They're going to be very, very annoying to play against, and they made Zach Wilson's day a nightmare. He threw 4 picks. He almost had a Nate Peterman type day. So, yes, the Patriots will be okay with that defense for sure.
J.C. Jackson, he had 2 picks in week 2. He had 9 last year. So, I mean, that just tells you the kind of tear he's been on over the past calendar year. So, yeah, I'll take the Patriots and Mac Jones and that defense to keep rolling and get to 2-1 against the Saints, who I said they were going to come back down to earth. The Jameis Winston that we know will show up, and he showed up very quickly. So, Patriots over the Saints.
Okay. My first pick, I'm taking the Seattle Seahawks. I think they're going to have a bounce-back game. They really didn't play too terribly bad against the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee is a talented team. Seattle's just – I still don't have a lot of faith in that defense, but they're playing the Minnesota Vikings this week. They are just a confusing team. They have so much talent on that team, but they just can't get it done. Minnesota is a bad team. So I'm picking the Seahawks to have a bounce-back game in week 3.
All right. My second pick, I'm going to take the New York Giants to beat the Atlanta Falcons. Matt touched on it. The Falcons are a tire fire. They're so bad. And, you know, offensively, I mean, it started off, I mean, they were kind of going tick for tack with Brady and the Buccaneers, and then they just started giving points to Tampa Bay. They had 2 pick sixes. Look, the offense is Calvin Ridley, some Kyle Pitts. That's about it. Defensively, they're not good. So I just don't see – I projected them to be a top 5 draft pick team coming into the year. They haven't shown me anything to believe anything less than that. Taking the Giants. Giants should have won last week against the Washington football team. Obviously, an offside call that probably wasn't offside. Got called on a missed field goal, and then Washington was able to make a field goal to play after. So the offense looks better. Daniel Jones looks good. So I think that, you know, with all of the weapons that they have on that side of the ball. Don't give me that look, Kurt. Daniel Jones played fantastic last week. Do not give me that look.
Yeah, fantastic might be a stretch.
He made a couple very good throws last week.
He's played better than I thought he probably would. I mean, I'll just say I have the Giants as one of my picks too. So I think that I like the Giants going into the season. I liked the way that their defense left off last year. Their defense looked really good going down the stretch. And maybe they haven't played to that level yet, but they brought in a lot of new guys. They're a pretty new team. Saquon Barkley just hasn't been able to get it going yet. But again, the Giants offensive line, there's a picture of them, 2 offensive linemen blocking each other. And I thought that was just the epitome of Giants football. But, they'll be okay. They should beat the Atlanta Falcons. That's why I picked them as one of my picks. If they're a playoff team, maybe they can squeak into that final spot. But if we're picking between them or a team like Carolina, I'm going with Carolina. But okay, so I just said the Giants. I said Seattle. I'm gonna pick your Steelers. It might be a little bit of a surprise, but they are playing Cincinnati. Cincinnati had a good week 1, and not very good week 2. But I think that Steelers defense is just gonna eat Cincinnati alive. They really are. TJ Watt, he's dealing with injuries. They're dealing with a lot of injuries. Do they have a timetable? Are they going to be playing this week? All the injuries.
Devin Bush and Joe Hayden are expected. They were game time decisions last Sunday, so they're both probably going to be back. Watt, if he misses this game, it's going to be the only game he misses. It's not a long-term thing. So he very well could play, but Melvin Ingram looks good. Alex Highsmith's dealing with a groin, though, too. Like, everybody's just getting groin injuries on Pittsburgh's defense. It's just not great right now.
There are some injuries, but I still have faith. It's in Pittsburgh against a team that Pittsburgh has pretty much owned for a lot of years. So I'm going with the Steelers as my third pick.
I'm glad that you have faith because I'm not touching that game. I'm scared.
Okay, fair.
All right. I'm going to take... I'm going to go with I think it's the Sunday night game. No, it's a Sunday at 4:25 game, actually. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, I assume, will be on this game. I'm going to take the LA Rams to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay.
Look, I've been extremely high on the Rams. Not to say that I'm not high on Tampa Bay. They're fantastic. It's in Los Angeles. Cross-country trip for Brady and the Bucs. The Rams are rolling high after 2 wins in a row. Matthew Stafford looks really good, Kurt. Cooper Kupp looks really good.
Yes.
And defensively, they're still very sound. I think that this is going to be a big statement game for Matthew Stafford, especially just finally just a stamp saying, look, I've been damn good for a long time. Now that I've finally got a team around me, you're going to see how damn good I am. So I would love nothing more than to see the Rams and Matthew Stafford win this game. I'm going to pick them to win this game at home against the defending Super Bowl champions, the Rams over the Buccaneers.
Okay. I was debating going back and forth on that game, but that's a very, very tough game to pick. So I went to another game that's going to be very, very tough.
He picked an easy game, everybody. Make sure they get points. Okay.
I'm going to maybe the second hardest game to pick this week. The Packers and the 49ers. That is going to be
the Sunday night game.
Fun game. That's Sunday Night Football. I'm going to go with the Packers. Week 1 is in the past. Week 1 is in the past. It's gone. Week 2, they dominated. Yes, it was the Detroit Lions, but Aaron Jones, 4 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers doing Aaron Rodgers things. I like San Francisco a lot, don't get me wrong, and I think it's going to be a very close game. In San Francisco, sure. I just like Aaron Rodgers a little bit more than Jimmy Garoppolo. So I'm going to go with the Packers here. I think that the Week 1 game was just a fluke, and there's really nothing to worry about with this team. I think they'll be just fine going forward.
This is also one of my picks. I'm also picking Green Bay. I already bet it. I already bet Green Bay money line. So,
wow.
Yeah, Packers aren't starting 1 and 2, and the 49ers haven't looked great. Like, they only beat the Eagles by 17-11, Kurt. You can't beat the Eagles by more than that. No. Offensively, like, they exploded in Week 1 against the Lions, and then I thought that they would do, just around the same thing against Philadelphia, and they just couldn't do it. So, 49ers, yes, they're 2-0. I haven't had them in my top 10 in my power rankings yet. Like, they haven't done anything to impress me. So, I know that a lot of people are high on them. I'm seeing them as high as like 5 and 6. I do not see that right now. Defensively, they're very good. Offensively, like the game against Philadelphia definitely took me down a peg for them. This will be their first test of the season against a really good Green Bay offense. Defensively, Green Bay doesn't necessarily worry me. Jared Goff, and like regardless of what the score was, Jared Goff and the Lions moved the ball pretty well against them. So I still like Aaron Rodgers more than I like Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm going to take the Packers on the road to go 2-1. Both teams will be 2-1 after this week, so I would take Green Bay over the 49ers as well.
Okay. My 5th and final pick, we touched on this game just a little bit earlier. I was going to go with my Bills, but I didn't want to pick them 3 weeks in a row. I figured I'll change it up a little bit here. So I'm going to go with the Titans. We talked about the Titans-Seahawks game. It was a tough game that went to overtime. I was impressed by Tennessee. They were down. They came back. They kind of they put their stamp on it, and they said, we're not just some team that added a lot of talent, and we're just going to be a 7-win team. I think they're going to be good this year. Julio Jones had a great game. Derrick Henry is back. And, we mentioned Carson Wentz probably won't play this week. So Jacob Eason going up against a questionable defense in Tennessee, but a defense that I think could be very good if everybody's kind of clicking on all cylinders by the end of the year. So I'm going with Tennessee. So my 5 picks of this week, 3, if I can find it, is Tennessee, Seattle, the New York Giants, the New Jersey Giants, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Green Bay Packers. Those are my 5 picks.
All right, my final pick. Look, we've gotten a ton of shit from this fan base in the past month.
We sure
but have. They're playing
rightfully so too.
Yeah, that's fair. We underestimated them. We didn't see a lot in them. Now, by no means do I think they're going to be a 12-win team still, but they're going to be in the mix at the end of the year. I'll pick the Raiders, start 3-0, and beat a Dolphins team that's looked abysmal so far this year. They're starting Jacoby Brissett. Now the defense, Max Crosby looks really good. I'm going to kind of echo Matt here. He's not going to keep up this Bruce Smith pace that he's been on, but he's been playing well. Casey Hayward had a hell of a game against Pittsburgh. He was matched up with Chase Claypool most of the game, and he made multiple plays on the ball to avoid big plays from happening downfield. So defensively, they look better than a lot of people expected. Offensively, Derek Carr's been a menace. So, yes, I will take the Raiders over the Dolphins, which means my 5 picks are the Patriots over the Saints, the Giants over the Falcons, the Rams over the Buccaneers, Packers over the 49ers, and the Raiders over the Dolphins. Kurt and I are both 7-3 going into week 3. So we'll see if one of us can gain the edge after
week 3 already. My God, I feel like we were just talking about who's going to be the second quarterback off the board. I mean, it's time flies, but it's been fun. It's been real fun, and we got another good week here, and we got a whole season ahead of us. So I cannot wait. But until then, you guys can follow along with us all along the way. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us with all our work coming out. I got my piece coming out soon with Fansided. I've got one coming every week, and all my other work. Jarrett, where can they find your stuff?
You can find me on Twitter at JBaileyNFL. Steelers piece today for Fansided. Patriots piece today for Fansided. Pittsburgh Sports Now as well. Everything Steelers there. I'll be releasing a piece hopefully later today, if not today, tomorrow, giving every starting quarterback in the NFL their pro wrestler comparison. This is a fun piece. It's very fun. So if you're a wrestling fan, you will enjoy this. So that'll be coming out within the next 24 hours as well. But yeah, at JBaileyNFL on Twitter to keep up with everything. Kurt, what is your Twitter so they can keep up with you?
Find me at Kurt, K-U-R-T, Haumeser, H-A-U-M-E-S-S-E-R 88. Bills fans have been an interesting bunch this go around so far in the season, but that's the fun of it. That's Bills Mafia for you. So we got a good bounce back game against Washington and Taylor Heineke this week. Can't wait.
Wouldn't it be kind of funny if Taylor Heineke just goes in there and lights it up?
No, not at all. The Bills defense has been looking lights out this year, though. I mean, they just shut out the Miami Dolphins. They look good against Pittsburgh. They're getting a lot of pressure, which I'm a little surprised with. AJ Epinesa is looking like a monster out there. Gregory Rousseau,
fantastic.
Gregory Rousseau is looking like a steal of a draft, and Star Lotulelei, Ed Oliver, the whole front seven is looking very, very good so far. So it'll be a good test against a good Washington team, and I can't wait.
That'll be a fun game. Like Buffalo's favored by 8.5. I feel like Washington should cover.
I don't think it'll be a blowout. Washington has a great defense, and with the way that the Bills' offense has been playing this year, a little inconsistent, they're going to give them some problems. And they got a great front seven and a not bad, but a not good Bills offensive line. So, like I said, it'll be a very, very good test to kind of see where this team is at.
And Heineke has played well. Like we thought that maybe the playoff game would be like, a little bit of a one-hit wonder. He looked good when he came in against the Chargers. He played great against the Giants. Like this, I think if he keeps this up, Ryan Fitzpatrick isn't getting that starting job back. Like this is Taylor Heineke's team probably for the rest of the year.
That's a fair assumption. He's just one of those players that's going to be kind of scrappy all year long, and he's going to make some plays, but he's also going to make some boneheaded plays that hopefully come this Sunday at 1:00. So he's a good player. He's good. He's got a lot of talent around him. I mean, Terry McLaurin is making a case to be a top 5 receiver in this league. So Washington's got a bright future, whether they stick with Heineke going forward or not. I think that they're a good team going forward.
Yeah, I agree. So enjoy your week 3 of action. We got Carolina-Houston tomorrow night, which should result in the Carolina Panthers being 3-0 and Sam Darnold continuing his revenge tour with 2 middle fingers in the air. Very much looking forward to it. I'm so happy for Sam Darnold. I've tweeted so much about the Panthers. The Panthers follow me on Twitter. We're best friends now. It's a great time to be alive. So, yes, my babies of the season, the Carolina Panthers, tomorrow against Davis Mills and the Houston Texans. So that'll be my guess. The Panthers should handle that pretty handily, and Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are going to be talking about, their 425 game by the third quarter. So a good weekend ahead, as it always is during the NFL season. Thank you so much for watching. As you always do, we appreciate you guys watching every week. It means a lot to us. Stick with us on Twitter. We will see you next week to talk about week 3 and then preview week 4. So till then, Kurt Haumeser, Jarrett Bailey, this is Laces Out. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
See ya.